Hey ho, dear ones, and welcome to Soul Alive Radio, where today we're going to be continuing our exploration into spiritual gifts as part of a business revolution and how your spiritual gifts create extraordinary client results. And, you know, unfortunately, slash fortunately, it's definitely fortunately, we are to a point in the sophistication of the coaching market that if the results your offers get, your clients are so, even if you have amazing marketing. Well, if you have amazing marketing, I think it's going to take you a lot of time and money to sell a so product. You can. It's just going to take a lot of time, a lot of money, and you're going to be constantly chasing after new leads. Because what's gonna happen is a client is gonna consume it once and be done. It'll be a one and done. And people with really large audiences can make some money from one and done. But is that satisfying? Do you get out of bed in the morning and show up to your business each and every day because you strive to get your clients so results? No. And I attract a very specific type of light worker who is here with a big soul mission, who has big, extraordinary spiritual gifts, and you have a unique access to them. Everybody has spiritual gifts, but some of us, light workers, who are here vibrating at higher frequencies with a portal door to the spiritual realm open a bit wider. We have greater access. And the gift that gives us is sharing that with our clients, with our audience, with our loved ones, with those we feel called to serve. And so anybody, almost anybody, let's say, can decide that they want to become a runner, but very few of us actually are called into being a serious runner or even a professional runner. And so you can imagine it's the same with spiritual gifts. Everybody has access to them, but some of us are called higher to lead with them, to give back with them in a meaningful way, to really serve with them, and then ultimately to help others open up their spiritual gifts in a mentorship role. And the biggest difference between a coach or a healer who's creating a product that leads to so results and one that creates a product that leads to extraordinary results is typically not training. It's their ability to perceive what is actually happening for the client in the moment, what the client is really struggling with, what the client really needs on a soul level to shift into something higher, to sense the real block, to ask the questions that unlocks something deeper, to guide the breakthrough that changes the trajectory of that client's life. Those moments don't come from memorizing more frameworks coming from other people or other coaches or other systems. They come from activating your spiritual gifts. And so you can look at frameworks, and some frameworks I find to be super helpful. For me, for example, I find human design to be an amazing map. I love the way the human design map is organized. It's just enough information that it all clicks. It's not too much information. I find astrology, although I do wish I knew more about it, and I do plan to start reading some books about basically how to read a astrology birth chart, like kind of an intro. um, I know the basics, but I would like to expand my knowledge into astrology. But I guess the thing that has prevented me from doing that so far is I have this perception, which I'm sure is wrong, that it's just a ton of information. It's just a ton of stuff to learn. And whilst I find human design to be more accessible, yes, if you want to go down the human design rabbit hole, which I actually have done, because I find it so results producing, you can do that. But you can also just learn the basics of human design. And that's also very, very life changing. And it is what I like to call phase one, getting to know your human design, or if you are someone who more aligns with astrology, getting to know your astrology chart, getting to know your gene keys. This really isn't a map as such, but I know I attract a lot of folks who have experience with Akashic records. So being inside of the Akashic records and seeing, collecting the data that's there. These are all data collection points, really. They're enabling us to become aware of our energy, of our purpose, of our tendencies, of our high expression and our low expression, of our core wounds, of our core gifts. And that's a really important step one. It's difficult to skip that step completely. Some of us who are like really, really embodied, really, really right arrowed people could do that. I am, yes, embodied, but I'm very left arrowed with a defined head and ajna center. So I'm kind of designed to think and crunch and study maps, which I find very uh, satisfying. So if you're someone who prefers to just go straight to embodiment, that's cool too. And you can do that. But I do think you miss something by not spending a bit of time reading your map, looking at your map, understanding your map. But that is phase one, and it doesn't stop there, especially what we're evolving to in 2027 and beyond. Then we move into phase two, which is embodying your map and using your spiritual intelligence to navigate your map and become the highest expression of what your map is pointing you towards. And it's our spiritual gifts that activate our spiritual intelligence. And like I said, human design is an extraordinary system for understanding how your energy works and how you are designed to move through the world. But a map alone does not move the vehicle. Your spiritual gifts activate what I call spiritual intelligence. They allow you to access and apply the wisdom of your design in your life, in your business, and when you are working with clients. And so, what are your spiritual gifts? There are 5. It's your spiritual gift of intuition. So, this enables you to perceive what your client truly needs. Your spiritual gift of healing, which enables you to clear the energy blocks that are weighing your clients down. And you use this gift no matter what kind of offer you have. You don't need to be a classic healer to use your spiritual gift of healing. I have all sorts of clients in all sorts of professions, not just coaching, not just healing. I have a client, for example, who is a real estate agent, and she would use her healing abilities with her clients when they were buying and selling homes, which can be a very strong emotional event for some, depending on where they are in their path. But certainly a family home that's been in the family for generations, and then you're selling that. The childhood home you grew up in, the home that you raised your kids in, the nerve-wrackingness of trying to find your perfect home and buy your perfect home when the market is scarce and everything's really expensive. So please know your spiritual gift of healing can be used in everything you do and not just in healing products. And then there's your spiritual gift of manifestation, which enables you to hold the space for your clients to help them Tap into future potential timelines of higher alignment, which is really what manifestation is, and then helping them to align to those timelines so that they manifest them. The spiritual gift of teaching helps your clients tap into their gifts, tap into their genius, so they can start creating and co creating with the divine at higher and higher levels. And maybe most powerfully is the spiritual gift of leadership, which helps your clients just be the true essence of who they are here to be and embody. And they use their power of being to serve others, activate others, model for others, attract their ideal people from the power of their being. And when these gifts activate, you begin accessing guidance that goes well beyond technique, well beyond frameworks. You sense the real block beneath the surface. You know which question will open the door. You guide your client toward the insight that changes everything. This is spiritual intelligence, the ability to access divine wisdom while you're in the process of serving a person you feel called to serve. And I use my spiritual intelligence all the time. I'm using it now. I use it always with clients, and I just notice, I've been coaching now since 2014. I have thousands of coaching and teaching hours under my belt. I have coached seven-figure business owners, eight-figure business owners. I have coached people on the verge of poverty, real poverty, homeless. I have coached people with completely open access to the spiritual gifts, getting so much divine information, it was overwhelming. I've coached people who are super, super intuitive, but the door to their spiritual gifts was closed up tight and locked, and we had to unlock the door and open it again. I mean, I've worked with such a range and a variety of different types of clients over the years, and what I can tell you is this: as I move on my path, coaching and healing and serving others and using my spiritual gifts very poignantly, I guess I'll say, in my sessions, because that's the work I do and this is what I teach others to do. I can tell you as I grow on my path that client sessions just get more and more and more powerful. And the feedback I get back is just more and more profound. And it's just something that keeps expanding out greater and greater and greater. And this is the power of the spiritual gifts. The more you work with them, the more powerful they get, just like anything else. And in the coaching industry, we're moving towards, and I am going to use the word fortunately. I would throw unfortunately out there because the coaching industry is getting so sophisticated and you can't rely on so offers anymore that offer so results. I guess the unfortunate part of that is it is saturated and it is sophisticated. And there's a lot of amazing, amazing coaches out there, like the listeners of this podcast, who have the ability and are getting their clients extraordinary results, but they're having a hard time attracting more clients and building a business that can become a consistent source of income that they rely on to live off of. And so I use the word unfortunately because I feel like there are a lot of people out there that fall into that category. And I think the reason why there are so many really talented coaches out there who aren't making consistent income is because it is a tough market. It is a saturated market. It does require some marketing and sales skills that light worker type people tend to really resist. But here's the thing. Here's what I'm seeing. Those coaches and healers and creatives who stay consistent, they stay on the path even when they get knocked off. And they're working with their spiritual gifts. They're working with their spiritual intelligence. They're holding the vision. They're using their spiritual gifts to be guided to the types of marketing and sales strategies that really work for them and their unique energy without getting burned out. And yes, those people are out there. I am one of them. I have many peers that fall into this category, and I have clients who fall into this category. So there are people out there doing it. And if we can do it, you can do it. And I can tell you, extraordinary client results create your real edge. When your spiritual gifts are active, your work becomes unmistakably your own. And what I can tell you is that your spiritual gifts give you your edge. And they do now, and they will into the future more than ever, because this is the way to stand out in saturated markets. Creating products that give clients a next level experience of transformation. And you're already capable of doing that. And something amazing happens when you unlock your higher and higher levels of potential in doing that. And this is when your clients start to talk about it, they refer you to others, and your business grows from the depth of the results you create. And this puts your energy, when this happens, into a beautiful rhythm of alignment and flow. And when this happens, the transformation you create for others becomes your most powerful marketing tool. So, my invitation for you this week is to consider the following question. And of course, take some deep belly breaths, pivot your awareness down, connect to the heart, connect to higher self. Ask your higher self, which of my spiritual gifts is ready to play a bigger role in the way I serve my clients? Perceive what you receive coming back in response. And if you're listening to this and recognizing that your spiritual gifts could be creating much deeper and more powerful breakthroughs in your client work and your business, I want to invite you to take the next step. Inside Soul Blueprint, we activate the 5 spiritual gifts so you can access spiritual intelligence consistently in the way you serve your clients and lead your business. The best way to explore whether Soul Blueprint is the right next step for you is through booking a Soul Blueprint connection call. On the call, we'll look at your spiritual gifts, the way you're currently serving clients, and whether activating those gifts through Soul Blueprint would support the next level of your work and business. You can find a link to book a connection call in the show notes, or just DM me or shoot me an email at allison@allisonscammell.com. I look forward to connecting with you. And as always, until next time, may your soul be alive.